My name is Biethan.
And I'm Riley Harris.
A famous Greek philosopher named Plato once put out a conjecture called Plato's allegory of the cave. In this story, a group of people were born and raised in a cave, allowed only to look at the shadows cast by a fire behind a curtain. They lived their entire life only looking at the shadows on the cave wall, and eventually, this became their reality. Because of this, Plato argued, the people would be shocked significantly to find that the cave and the shadows were not the only reality that they lived in. This group of people, in fact, lived in a wide, seemingly endless plane of possibilities. We believe that, in many ways, we, as students, have found ourselves in a similar metaphorical cave as a result of formal education. Our educational system is in love with standardized testing. And we can see this by our statewide tests, as well as AP and IB college credit tests. We are here today to talk to you about education, specifically advanced courses. While these courses strive to work the student to their full potential, there are some inherent flaws to the system that make it hard to effectively teach. Before I go any further, I'd like to ask the students out there, how many of you have taken an AB or an AP or an IB program? Just raise your hand. At least one. Students, look around you. For the people watching on the camera, there's a lot of hands being raised. You are not alone, all right? I'm taking 3. I'm crazy, and I'm a hypocrite. It's hard changing a system while you're living in it, and I know this. Now, I'm a student like many of you, and like you all, I desire a higher form of education. But I also want to inspire change so that people who learn after me do not have to suffer as much stress as I do.
Now, why do we take AP and honors courses? Some probably take it for the educational content and learning opportunity it provides. However, I'm willing to bet that most of you are taking it just because you can get some college credit in high school and not for many other reasons.
I'm taking AP Government. Do I really want to learn in detail about a bunch of rich old white men arguing about politics? No. No, I really don't. But I do like college credit.
And college credit is great. But what we find is with most students, they get so obsessed with this idea of being successful and getting these college credits that if anything goes wrong, they go crazy. They absolutely panic, even if it's the tiniest of things. If we all know this feeling. We've all been panicked at some point. But it doesn't make sense, though. I mean, you have an assignment amongst many others, and you work super hard to get it done, turn it in on time, to the best of your ability, et cetera, et cetera. So you turn it in, you wait anxiously for you to get the grade back, and when you get it back, you're disappointed because you got, I know for some of you, a low A or a high B, and you could have done better. It's such a fabulous waste of energy and so much stress. And this tendency is especially specific for honors and AP courses.
What do APs teach, though? What core values do they teach us? APs and IBs cater to the standardized tests done every May. Therefore, a majority of AP class is dedicated to memorization, learning the history, the ideals, and the information on a subject, and then restating it on the AP test or IB test to get college credit. Standardized testing at the core is the problem with APs. While memorization is a good skill to have, though, in a competitive job market, would you rather have the ability to memorize or the ability to create? The ability to take fast notes or the ability to think creatively and critically? Einstein is a wonderful example of creativity versus formal education. When he was in grade school, he was sent outside of his class because he learned slower than the other students. Yet, in the prime of his thought, his ideas, he thought so abstractly, so creatively, so uniquely, that his ideas have changed the modern world in such an explosive way, figuratively and literally.
This is the kind of creativity that we really need in our classrooms. Our modern Einsteins can't be alienated as he was in his day. There's just too much creativity to be had. But as long as AP, honors, and IB courses are focused on the annual test, so much of the learning and engagement is going to be lost in the process.
Not only this, but advanced courses are stressful. We spend so much time trying to achieve unattainable perfection. We lose sleep and we lose sanity to make sure that we can do well in our classes, just so we can get good grades. But is it worth it? Especially if you're taking a course that you don't enjoy, like AP Government.
Now, why would you want to sacrifice your health and happiness and free time for a course you really just don't care about, like AP Government? If you have a reason for it, then take it. Reason mainly being you have a genuine interest in the class. The other reason would be it's required at some point along the line, in which case that's fine, but otherwise I can't think of another excuse.
I mean, we all have reasons that we want to challenge ourselves. When I was a sophomore in high school, I took my honors block program, History and Language Arts. I was destroyed by it. I took bad notes, I failed every test, I dropped out a quarter. I nearly failed my regular history course that semester because I had lost all motivation to study. I felt like a failure. And it took me a year and a half to regain the confidence to try and challenge myself again, educationally. I myself am taking three APs, half because I'm crazy and half because I want to prove to myself that I can do it.
But if you take an AP or an honors course or an IB course strictly for the college credit you get, and you're doing it to the point where you're going insane, just racking your brain every night, overworking, trying to get everything done. Like I said, you've got all these different assignments to juggle. It's just not worth it. I mean, we've all been in that situation. Peter and I have been in the same situation. I'm sure many of you have been in that situation. And you're just not happy. Like, your outlook on life is generally just poorer than it should be.
Before we leave, I'd like to ask a hypothetical question. Would you want to live a life where you are rich, successful, smart, but unhappy? A life where your name goes down in history as one of the most famous people ever, but you can't live to enjoy it? Or would you rather live a life where you are relatively poor, you are of moderate intelligence, and when you die, your name dies along with you, but you are happy? I ask a lot of my friends this, and they ponder it for a moment, and then ultimately the majority of them will tell me, I think I'd rather live a life where I'm poor but happy. Where, yes. And then after that, they proceed to complain about how stressful school is, how stressful life is, how much they're pushing themselves, and how much they don't enjoy it.
Don't live a life of unhappy fame. It's not worth living if you can't enjoy it. And if anything, leave here today with this one idea. Your life is in your hands. And for some of you, probably in your parents' hands as well, and we get that. But you're still responsible for how you feel, and your parents aren't going to get involved in that. So try to find a way to challenge a system that's trying to challenge you. And some are content to live in their caves with their shadows on the walls and making that their reality. But we all know that there's a whole world of possibilities out there for us. We just have to go out and get it. And sometimes we just don't believe that it's there. So, for once, why not step out for some fresh air?
These are your courses. This is your life. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.